everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be talking about 5 things we learned from reading the Batman prequel novel. So let's go into a little bit of details about the novel first, and then we'll get into the book. Uh, Before the Batman, it's the official prequel novel for the movie, released in February 1st of 2022 by Random House for young readers. This is written by David Lewman. So going forward, we will have spoilers for both the novel and most likely the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie or read the book, I recommend you kind of come back. I definitely do recommend reading the book. I think it really adds a lot of backstory to both Gotham and the character of the Batman. And also go check out the movie. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm very excited. I don't normally read books, you guys know that, but this novel, it really focuses on a young Bruce Wayne trying to make his way through Gotham. We get to learn a little bit about his schooling, his relationship with Alfred, but these are the 5 things that I kind of focused on. Um, just I feel like they, when it comes to the movie, they really add a lot of stuff. So the first thing we want to talk about is the origins of the Batmobile. Throughout the novel, we learn how Bruce has been working on his muscle car. He wanted to do some racing. This is all before he even realized that his mission in life should be to, become the Batman. The novel really takes place a couple of years or a few years before the movie, all throughout his teenage years, and then some. So we learned that Bruce is a great mechanic. He's very capable, and he's been working on his car to join races that are happening in Gotham. Um, so we get to learn all about the Batmobile. We get to learn all about what he does to it and how he improves every time. So pretty much we get a proto Batmobile here, and understand that Bruce is the one working on this car and adding all these things. This is even before like he starts accessing um, research from Wayne Tech. So this was all him. Really exciting. We get to meet a character named Dex, who is a driver that Bruce meets during the races, and she kind of brings him into this world. Very interesting character. I really like the whole subplot of learning about the Batmobile. And we spent quite a bit of time on that. Now, here's the second thing we learned: what really happened to the orphanage at Wayne Manor. Now, in the movie, we follow a young Riddler, aka Edward Nash. So this is where we get really into spoilers for the movie. So in the movie, we find out that Edward was an orphan at the orphanage in Wayne Manor. The Waynes donated this orphanage to ensure that these kids would have somewhere to live as part of their renewal plan for Gotham. Um, so, we get to know a lot of Edward's childhood and growing up, him being in school and just kind of becoming that proto Riddler. He realizes soon that he has to do something to teach people a lesson, and just kind of make people that wrong him, like he wants to kind of avenge that. Um, so we know that his big plan ultimately becomes to burn down the orphanage. Now, in the movie, we see that the orphanage has been abandoned because of a large fire, but here we are fully confirmed of what happened. It was all a plan by the Riddler. And this is all before he even became the Riddler. This kind of gave him the idea of what we're going to see in the movie. This Riddler, which kind of forced, because of that, it forced Batman to move on to the train station and leave Wayne Manor, as they have been living in Wayne Tower, as the manor was donated to the orphanage. So we get a lot of backstory in Edward. And I think it's really interesting. It really adds depth to the character, and I think Paul Dano did a great job with the performance. But it really adds a lot to the stuff that we see here in the book. So the next thing is, we get to see Bruce's first case working with the police. At this point, Bruce, it's been a few years since his teenage years, since his racing days. He realizes that he wants to stop criminals, and he discovers a plot to there's explosives being brought into Gotham, It's a new chemical that the police don't know much about. They don't know how it's getting in, and Bruce kind of works on that. He reconnects with his friend Dex from his childhood, but he has never. When they met in their teenage years, he gave her an alias of Paul, and now in here we see Bruce in his jacket and painted eyes with the cap that he showed in the movie. So uh, Gordon was not Bruce's first ally in the GCPD. It actually happened to be Lieutenant Janice Dewar. Janice Dewar is the one that was helping Bruce out throughout this whole time, um, giving him records and stuff. But it all leads to Bruce solving this case, and then leaving it up to the police, and then giving Lieutenant Dewar the credit, which probably is what led to the police working with him a little bit more. From then, I'm sure he would meet Gordon, and he would become his ally in the force. And it also, at the end of the book, we learn that GCPD has installed this bat signal, and we get to hear the really cool line from the movie that the signal, it's a warning. Like that whole speech, we get to hear it at the end of the book. So it all kind of goes back into that. So very interesting stuff there. I really enjoy that part. I really like Bruce as a detective and solving his first case and then figuring out what happens. Now, speaking of that, the people behind it, we finally learn the true savage nature and the grip of Gotham that Falcone has on the city. I think we knew from the movie, and I think John Turturro does a fantastic job at portraying the character. We learned from the movie that Falcone's been pretty much ruling the city from the underground, with his lieutenant, the Penguin, aka Colin Farrell, in very good disguise. So, yeah, we learned that there is a man named Piggy Porcello that is the one that's running that operation with the explosives that Bruce ends up capturing, and then takes down. So that leads to the rise of Cobblepot. It really opens the door for him to become Falcone's main lieutenant. But throughout this, we also see that Falcone really doesn't mess around. It's only one chapter that's devoted to Falcone, but I think it really, really adds a lot of the character to him, and we really see him be threatening and just really, really like scary, really overall. So that part I very much enjoyed. Even if Falcone was only in one chapter of the book, I still think that it was time well spent. And then the last thing, and this is probably the most exciting slash the least that we'll see in the movies, I think. We get a connection to Superman. We get a connection to a larger DC universe. So in the book, as when Dex finally solves the case, or when Bruce finally solves the case, um, we go back and he talks to Dex one last time as the hooded vigilante. This is, like I said before, he had the full Batman um, outfit on. So Dex mentions that she'll be having some job interviews, maybe with LexCorp, and that's are really the only indication that we get that there may be a larger DC universe. The reason I bring that up is because not because I want this to start crossing over with anything, but I just think that I don't think they would have added that to the book if in the future they didn't have plans to maybe expand this universe. These things go through a lot of regulations and a lot of approvals. So somebody at DC or multiple people at DC, including probably Matt Reeves, had to approve the usage of just that little Easter egg for the fans. So we do have a LexCorp confirmed in the Batman universe. That doesn't mean that there's a Superman. That doesn't mean there's a like more heroes. But we do have a Lex Luthor because there is a LexCorp. So who knows what could happen in the future. But yeah, those are the top 5 things that I learned from reading Before the Batman, the original, the novel for the movie. Um, Let us know if you read it. I highly recommend it. Let us know what else you learned from that. If I missed anything, it's a quick read. I listened to it on Audible and it was under 3 hours, so I really enjoyed that. And it's just a very short, small book, but it's really cool. So yeah, highly recommend you guys check that out if you enjoyed the movie. I can't wait to watch the movie again once it hits HBO Max. in the upcoming months. So yeah, stay tuned, and thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Sundays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And keep watching. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, movie reviews, all that good stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.